There we go. All right. Good morning and welcome. I am going to show you Buddha bowls this morning. I am going to show you a couple different ways. I actually, if anybody answered the question on my Instagram, I did a couple polls on my Instagram a couple days ago. And I was just asking, as far as ingredients, what you would use. So it was a grain, it was vegetables, it was a protein, and then like a dressing or hummus. So what was really interesting to me was, and it shouldn't have been, but it was interesting to me that, hold on one here. Somebody's trying to get on. So it was interesting to me. One was like a whole a chicken bowl, and then like the other answers were completely like plant-based. So I thought I'm going to show you both of them today, so you can kind of decide how you want to do this. All right. So let me just get Andrea on here real quick, and then so there is kind of like with the smoothie bag that I had done a couple weeks ago or last month, I guess we did that. There's just a basic formula that you're going to use for your smoothie bowls or for your Buddha bowls. And it's really very basic. So one of the things that I love about the Buddha bowls is that you can either think about it for a separate meal, kind of when you're doing your grocery shopping, like Kelly was doing this week with produce and all of that kind of thing, or you can go into your fridge and take out the leftovers that you have and make a Buddha bowl from it. So you have two options there. So if you have a leftover night kind of planned into your week, this is perfect because it really makes sense for that. If not, and you want to do kind of a meal prep thing or plan ahead for it, then you certainly can do that too. So I'll give you the formula, and then I'm going to give it again as I walk through both bowls. But what you need is a grain. So whatever that grain looks like to you, could be rice, it could be quinoa, it could be barley, like whatever rice or whatever grain you want. Then a protein. So again, whatever protein you want. If you want chicken, if you want a plant-based protein, if you want, beans, lentils, anything like that. So it's going to be, again, protein. And then veggies. So you can either use raw veggies or you can use roasted, baked, cooked veggies, however you want it. There she goes. However you want it to look. I'm going to do a combination of both today so you can see them. And then, hey, Andrea. Then I'm going to do, then one of the things when you probably see Buddha bowls on pictures is they always look so pretty, and there's like little like things on top, right? that make it look pretty. So that's like considered a topping, and that's an extra. I'm going to give you a couple different ideas today that you can use with that. Again, those are extra, and if you don't have it, it's okay, but we're going to place things today so you can see how that is. And then the last thing is you're going to have either a topping or a dressing or a sauce. And I'm going to show you some options for that today too. So really, probably after we're done, you can go into your fridge and try it on your own and make it for lunch today if you wanted to, with what we have. Okay. So Andrea, just jumping in, I'm going to show a plant-based Buddha bowl, and then I'm also going to show an animal-based, animal protein-based Buddha bowl as well. And I want to show you two different ways of doing this. One of the reasons is because when I was working full-time and I was commuting, I would make these for my lunches. So I'm going to show you how to do it in a Tupperware container, just so you can see. I'm such a visual person. So I want you to be able to see this, because I know there are some on here who use it or who leave the house and who can use this. The other one, I'm just going to show you out of my pretty bowl, because you guys know that I just love everything to look pretty. And if you're doing this for home or for dinner, you can just do it out of a regular bowl too. it kind of goes the same as with salad jars, or like when we had the salad workshop too, right? If you were going to use this as a meal prep, even if you're staying home because you've got calls or daycare or, you know, whatever it is, you could still do them all in the containers and have them ready in the fridge, ready to go. That makes sense? With that. And I want you guys to ask questions if you have any questions as we're going through here, just because I want that. And it works better. Okay, so let's start first with the, I'm just gonna start with the plant-based or the animal protein one, and I'm going to give you a couple different options, okay? So we're gonna start at the bottom, and this, I'm gonna use this, the container. So the bottom is always going to be a grain, okay? And the other thing is too, food, and again, if you've been with me for a while, you know that I like things to look pretty, and food for me is more appetizing when it looks pretty and when it's presented nicely. So you can still, even though you are using a Tupperware container, you can still set it out to look pretty so that when you are taking it out of the fridge at work, it looks nice and appetizing and not just like you just literally dumped it in the Tupperware, right? When you are feeding yourself with whole foods, and when you're feeding yourself and nourishing yourself, you really want to do it in a way that is loving for your body. And that just, it's like with any touch, right? When you have somebody in your family that like you love, or your kids, your, you know, husband, whoever that is, you show them affection when you're touching and hugging them. The same as with your food, right? It's the same thing. It is loving and touching your body from the inside. So the presentation will, I promise you, switch in your head, and it will just, you will want to eat it because it's like a warm hug on the inside of your body, if that makes sense. So for this one, I'm going to use just plain white rice. And again, there is no right or wrong with a Buddha bowl, the same as with a salad. You're just going to use it as a kind of a general formula, and then you can go and pick and choose. There's nothing wrong with white rice. I know we get a lot of flack of, well, right, white rice is this, this, and this. There's really nothing wrong with it unless you're going to eat like 3 cups of it, right? So you're going to be very mindful of just, you know, how much you're using, but this is a carb and our bodies need carbs to be able to have energy. Yeah, you can use lentils for sure. I'm going to show you actually one bowl, Andrea, that has some chickpeas in it. You can get an idea. Yeah, for sure. For sure. This is whatever you want. You guys, this is, I'm just giving you options. Okay. So what I'm going to do in this bowl is I'm actually going to push the rice to one side. Okay. Because what I want to do is I want to kind of fill it, right? And just make it, again, make it look pretty. Okay. This rice is, I measured it this morning. I want to say it's almost 1 cup. It's probably 3/4 of a cup. So what I was going to say, with whatever grain you use, however comfortable you are, you can use anywhere from 1/2 cup to 1 cup of grains. Okay. It depends on how comfortable you are, and how hungry you are too, I guess, right? Like also too, if you're working out in the morning and you've exerted yourself and you're like really, really hungry, then I would go on the higher side for the grains. Okay, so then we're going to, and one of the other things that I didn't mention was one of the reasons why Buddha bowls look so beautiful, again, is because of the color. So it's the color of the vegetables and the foods that is used. It's not all the same color, right? So when you're thinking of your bowl, again, other than leftovers, when you're thinking of your bowl, try to think of color. How can I use color in this? What is going to make it pop, right? And again, it's probably a little bit different than we've thought of before, but once you get used to it, you'll start to think, okay, what's red, what's green, you know, how can I use these? So the next ingredient would be vegetables. Okay, and for this bowl, I am doing a combination. I roasted some Brussels sprouts. All I did was cut them in half. I just See, cut them in half. Little bit of olive oil and salt, and I roasted them in the oven at 400 for 20 minutes. That's it. So I'm doing Brussels sprouts for green, and then I also sauteed mushrooms because I love mushrooms and mushrooms go in everything in my house. So I'm going to, and when you're doing your vegetables, again, you guys know I don't normally measure my vegetables because vegetables are like almost the focus of my meal, but this is definitely a good cup in here, right? Probably a good cup and a half if I were to measure it. So I'm just going to put it in, I'm just going to put it on the side. I'm going to section everything off. So I'm putting it on the side here. Okay. So see, it's almost like I'm splitting it in thirds. So I put that in there. Then I'm going to take my protein for this, and my protein is chicken. I just did a roasted chicken, actually, not even roasted it. I did it real quick this morning in my Instant Pot, just with some salt and pepper. Can you guys see that? There. So I just chopped it up. You could use rotisserie shredded chicken. You could use, you know, whatever you have left over. If you've done like chicken fajitas or anything like that, you could use whatever. And this is one, I want to say it's a small breast, right? So it's one serving of the protein. So this is my protein. And if you wanted to swap this out with any other protein, you could do that. I made it earlier this week with tofu. I had done a tofu in here too. So I'm just going to put this on the side. Now, because this bowl is a little bit blah because of the colors, because of the chicken and the rice, there's really nothing that pops up. I decided, and this is, you can decide to do whatever you want. I decided to also use a little bit of sweet potato in here too, just to kind of like brighten it up. Again, this is like 1 cup. You don't have to use this much. This is going to be a really hearty meal if you do this. So if you're thinking of lunchtime, you know, you could use a little bit less, but just place it again so it's a little bit separate, right?
Kelly, how did you cook the sweet potato?
Me?
I mean, sorry, Kristen.
That's okay. I figured you meant me. You could ask Kelly too. All I did was I peeled it and then I just cubed it and I roasted it. Actually, I used the same pan as the Brussels sprouts.
Oh.
And I took the Brussels sprouts off 20 minutes and then I put the I put the sweet potatoes back in for like another 25 minutes. That was it. So a little bit of olive oil on it. And I think I added some salt to this as well. So that's it. Okay. So there's color as well for that. Okay. So now here's where you have an option. This for toppings that can come in, right? If you want to make it look a little bit prettier, you can certainly do that. If you want to add some crunch to it, you can do that. I've got a couple options here. The first one is cashews. I love cashews, right? You could also put some of the pepita seeds in on top. They're green. Cashews are heavier. So this is already a really heavy bowl. If you use the pepita seeds, the smaller pumpkin seeds, right? It's lighter. So you could sprinkle those on top just for a little bit of lightness. Okay. So taking this is a little bit prettier than having everything like smashed together. But I also like to have a topping on my Buddha bowl. And this is kind of where your preference comes in also too. While you're starting your flavors and while you're starting to explore different flavors, you may want to explore with different things. So for this particular bowl, just because of what's in here with the rice and the chicken and the roasted Brussels sprouts, I would either choose a soy sauce or a coconut aminos. So the coconut aminos is a little bit sweeter, right? The soy sauce, so this could be almost like a Chinese chicken Chinese chicken bowl. Kind of a thing. You can also put hummus, you could do salsa, you could do whatever you wanted, but I was just thinking personally, like my flavors, that would go really well on here. And what I would do if I was taking this to work with me, I would not put the sauce on until I was at work. So I have the little containers. You can get like little dressing containers like this, and you can put the sauce in there, or I use these for salad dressings as well. So whatever that looks like for you. And that's your bowl. That's it. That's a Buddha bowl. Okay. Any questions? This is a very hearty Buddha bowl too, but also too, one of the things that you want to think about is in the winter time, we normally are craving heavier things, right? So this can fill all of those cravings. Kelly?
So say I wanted to put avocado on there, would I count that as the vegetable or would I count that as like a topping?
Yeah, you're going to count topping.
Okay.
Yeah, and funny that you mentioned that. I went to the store this week and I got a couple avocados. They're not ripe yet, and I don't want to cut them because once I cut them, then that's it. I'm like out of luck. But yeah, so your avocados are going to be extra. And so typically, right, it's like 1/4 to 1/3 of an avocado is what a serving is. So then if it was me, I would slice it, right, in like 2 or 3, and I would put it in the corner. I'd kind of like fan it out in the corner. Even if I was taking it to work, because once you put the lid on this, it's airtight, so it shouldn't brown. Right. And then
Right.
before you put it in the microwave to heat it up, just real quick, take the avocado out and then put it back in. It doesn't take really any more time for that. Yeah. Also too, like with the cashews are a healthy fat. So kind of the same thing, right? It's just going to be like 1 serving of the cashews, which really, if you're being technical with a serving, calorie wise, it's like 2 tablespoons, which is like hardly any cashew because they're so big, you know, so just, you have to be, like I said, I don't do measuring with this. You guys know I don't do a lot of measuring with my food, but I'm also mindful enough to know that I can't have 1/2 cup of cashews on here, right? Because then that throws everything off. So yeah, so this is one version, and whatever you want in here, you could swap out, right? If you wanted to do quinoa, if you wanted to do lentils, chickpeas, anything like that, but it's your base. So if you were setting this up to go to work and you were doing, let's say 2 or 3 for the week to go, what I would do is I would line the containers up on my counter, and I would do, right, like the grain, the vegetable, right? So like you're like in an assembly line going through, and then you can then you can be done. And you can do a couple different vegetables or a couple different toppings on it to make it different. But if you have kind of all of the same, it's going to take you what? Because you already did these. So it's going to take you maybe an extra 5 minutes to make them. But if you have them all set up, then you're good to go and you have your lunches for the week.
Does it matter how many veggies we put in?
No, load it up with veggies. Load it up. Yeah. So veggies are like, I usually, actually, if I were to do this, I would probably cut the rice in half for myself and almost double up on the veggies then. So, but no, veggies, and maybe you don't want to, maybe you want to use actually, ooh, that's good, Andrea. If you wanted to not use a grain and use cauliflower rice, there you go. You could use cauliflower rice as your like in grain place, and then don't count that as a vegetable, count that as your grain. And then you're getting so many vegetables in there, which is amazing. So, oh, I love that. Yes. I didn't even think about that. Why? I don't know. It's awesome. Love it. Yeah. Yeah.
Christy, I think I've lived in a cave. I had not heard of Buddha bowls. So where did this come from? And my preconceived idea was that you were going to layer them. So, you're making it individual. So help me understand. I mean, I love the idea. It's like another idea for salads for lunch.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
where did it come from?
Well, I think you probably have to blame Instagram for something like this, right? Because it's all of so the one that I make in this bowl is going to look different, Brenda.
Okay.
Because again, right, this is a little bit different, but I think, so it originally started out with being called a grain bowl, and then it moved into a Buddha bowl, and you have the food influencers and all the recipe people who are also on the idea of clean eating and whole food. So that's where this kind of originated from, was, okay, how can we take, a meal that has all of the things and move it into something, and then hence Buddha bowl. So I bet if actually, when you get off of here, if you go on even just Pinterest and just search Buddha bowls, you will, I mean, the things that come up, this is basic. The things that come up are absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. And they can take a lot of time if you're doing a lot of the cutting and the grading, but this is just, it's very basic. And I just want to simplify, but yeah, that's where it came from.
Well, I don't think it's blame. I think it's just to educate.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm missing out on a whole world by not doing Pinterest and Instagram. So
You're not, don't go down that hole. Don't go down the hole.
yeah, it's like,
No.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just, you know what, it's so funny how kind of trends like roll into different things. And so it just, yeah, Instagram has its own thing. Okay, so now let me show you how I do it. So of course too, right, this bowl, if you guys see any of my pictures, I got these Rae Dunn bowls at Marshall's. I got a set of 4 of them. And one of the reasons I got them was because at home, I like things to look pretty when I'm eating them. This is like my typical go-to salad bowl, but I'll also do like a Buddha bowl or a grain bowl in here too. So just kind of think about it again. I think there is something different than eating off of a paper plate. I know it's more convenient, but there's just something wholesome about knowing that, it just is, it's just, I don't know, wholesome. It's there. It's like a care. It's like a self-care for me, right? With that. So this one I'm going to do a little bit different. I'm actually going to use and I've talked about this before. This is it's a lentil or quinoa and brown rice blend. I got this at Aldi's. And this is so quick, takes 90 seconds just to heat up in the microwave. And it's the Simply Nature brand. I think I've sent some of you a link to this because it's so good and it's so convenient and so easy. So that's the other thing, is you shouldn't be spending, hours doing this either. So convenience, it's okay. It happens. So the same thing. This is just, we're just going to put this on the side of the bowl. Now, again, if I was making this at home for my husband, there would be a lot more grains and potatoes in these bowls because he is a meat and potatoes guy. But I'm just going to kind of put it on the side as well. And I love this, the brown rice and the quinoa, because it has a different, first of all, it looks different. And second of all, it has a different texture too when you're eating it. So it's not just, soft when you're eating it. And this one, I'm going to do a combination. So I'm going to do a combination of sauteed peppers, which are here. So I just real quick sauteed, I cut up, I actually at the farmer's market, they had this week for sale, a bag of peppers. There was red and yellow peppers in there. I think there was like 7 peppers in there for $1 and they were perfect. So I grabbed them because I can use them for so many things. So I sauteed some up last night, and then I got these. These are raw zucchini shreds, a whole pack of these. So I used this yesterday as a quick breakfast hash. I took some of the zucchini, some carrots, and some already sliced mushrooms and threw them in for breakfast hash. When you buy a container, you can use this for so many different things, for salads, for the Buddha bowls, for your smoothies, you could throw them in, right? So just different options, but I'm going to combine the raw zucchini and the sauteed peppers just for a little bit of different texture. And the other thing was I thought it was kind of Christmassy with the red and the green. So it looks pretty. Again, we always go back to that pretty. And you don't have to measure. So my philosophy is you don't really have to measure vegetables at all. Just eat them all, eat them all. So I'm just going to put some in here, you guys see? And then I'll put the peppers in. I'm gonna overlap the peppers just a little bit. All right,
Did you saute the zucchini?
I didn't, it's raw.
Okay.
I could have. You know, it doesn't take very long, but I wanted a different kind of and so this bowl, when I'm done, can be eaten either warmed up or actually it could be eaten cold. If like the cold peppers, if that's something that you don't like, then you could just do a quick warm up. But this can be a cold bowl, where the one that I made before, that's definitely a warm bowl.
Yeah.
Right.
And the zucchini will give it a crunch.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. A nice crunch. Yep. So just layered in there. And then the protein that I'm going to use for this is the chickpeas. So all I did was open a can of chickpeas. This actually probably is the most convenient bowl that I'm making because everything is so quick and already done, right? With the exception of the sauteed peppers. I just opened a can of chickpeas and I drained them. I did not do anything else to them. I did not add a spice to them. I did not do anything else. And I'm just going to put them on the side here. This was about a half of a cup of chickpeas. So if you are wondering, okay, so everything has a place there. See how that is? Doesn't that look pretty? Ta-da. Now, these are some of my favorites. And if you have never tried pea sprouts before, they are delicious. Not all supermarkets carry them. So, and especially this time of year, it can be kind of hard to find. I went to the local butcher in our town and he has like some specialty things, but if you can get sprouts, my daughter will come and she will just eat them like this. They're sweet. These are like snap peas, almost like, so the snap pea sprouts. So think of the flavor of snap peas. These, and they're just little. They're just little. And this is one of the things where you can use as a garnish, right? As like a little pretty topping of that. You can throw these into omelets. You can put them in smoothies. You can put them in salads, everything. These, and they will last. They will not go. Julia, are you making a face, Julia? It's okay. It's okay.
No, I love it. I'm saying like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't usually buy that, but
Right.
I think you could use it to garnish a soup too. I'm going to look for that.
Everything like this. And if you even did like your stuffed squash, Brenda, you could put this on top of that. Like, it's just so pretty and it's very feminine. So it just looks pretty, but it just adds kind of another thing, right? So like if I take them off, it's okay. But if I put this on, it's like, oh, that's so pretty. And that's it. Like it just, it's
yeah,
very,
I really do love it. I told you,
Yeah.
mine's like mush. I mean, mine's like a caveman. I don't know, just flop it in there.
yeah.
You and
So-
I could be in the same cave, Julia. Now,
But-
what would you use for a dressing, Christy?
I'm so glad you asked, Brenda. So glad you asked. So for this bowl, you've got a couple different options here. I mean, coconut aminos, I think, is my go-to. I love it as a salad. I would even have it on as a salad dressing. But I also, you could do a salsa with this. If you're going to keep this like a cold bowl, right? You could do a salsa with this. You could also do hummus, like whatever your favorite hummus is. Plop it in the middle, and then as you're eating, you kind of like mix it in. You could do a balsamic vinegar on top of here. You know, really kind of, this is almost more salady, if I can say, than the other bowl. So your options might be a little bit more with this one. But yeah, those would be kind of my go-tos. The salsa would be nice. You could even mix it with the Greek yogurt and do like a creamy salsa for the top of this.
I was just gonna ask about Greek yogurt. Thank you.
Yeah. So I love to do a like a tablespoon of Greek yogurt in with like 1/4 cup of the salsa, and it makes it like a creamier dressing with the plain yogurt. So there you go. This is your Buddha bowl. And doesn't that
Very
look pretty? Yeah.
Ooh.
And it's really just the idea behind it, right, is placing everything. So when you are, and again, just go with what we talked about today. Like, don't stare at a picture and be like, oh, you know, like, let me do this. You could throw an avocado on here and put it in the corner, right? Just kind of fan it out, put it in the corner. You could put cashews on here. So like, if you go with those 5 things, which your grain first, your vegetables, your protein, a topping, and then a dressing, you have your formula, you're set to go.
Christy, we buy a container of unsalted sunflower seeds and then a container of salted because of my salt issue, and then we mix them up. So I add that to my salads a lot. And if you could see my grandson, he just loves my salad. So I can't sit down at the table anymore. And you won't believe this, but I bought the shredded carrots the other day, which, remember how I felt about that?
Yep.
So I make up the salads. I put a little bit of this Italian dressing on. He won't leave me alone. He's in my lap. He's picking out pretty much everything. He'll try the red pepper, and then if he doesn't like it, that comes back out. But he's eating the red cabbage. He's eating the sugar snap peas. And it's a riot, because if I pull the bowl back to me to get a bite, he just pulls it back to him. And it's so cute. Glenda actually videoed it yesterday. I said, this is my new diet plan. You know, it's like I mix up the bowl and then Adrian eats the half of it. So, you know,
but that's amazing, Brenda, because kudos to you, because he's seeing that.
Yeah. And it's the color. There's so many colors in there: the red pepper, the green sugar snap peas, the red carrots. So, you know, I agree with you that color is important. It's for our eyes as well as our bellies.
So, and something that you know, actually, I just thought of this when you were talking about color. So something that's happening right now, right, is as we go into the winter months, we have that seasonal depression.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are somebody who suffers from that, or who just kind of is affected by it, which I think, you know, you get in the middle of January, we all kind of get in that funk, color can really bring it back. And the more color also too that we have in our foods, the more vitamins and the more nutrients our body is getting, as opposed to just feeling that blah and in that funk. So, you know, I love that too, because that is something that as you're going into these next months, if you can focus on the color of your foods and what you are putting inside your body, that's going to feel, you know, affect how you feel on the outside of your body too. And just,
and if you don't have seasonal depression, you're going to get COVID depression. So we might as well accept it and just deal with it. I mean, it's
yeah. And so one of those things is that we can think about, and this is where food, if you are looking at it as, something that is really nourishing our body and giving us the energy and life that we need, then that is where all those colors come in. And that is where all of the nutrients and vitamins come in. So color on our plate, I say every single meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even your snacks is huge, because it can affect you in so many different ways, and just positively. So yeah, that's a good point, Brenda. Thank you. I love that. And again, right, and I don't expect everybody to have everything that I have here. Remember, like I did this for the class and to give you options so you can pick what you are going to do. And it can be something that works for you. And then maybe next time you just swap it out and add something different to it. But bootables are definitely something that you don't necessarily get tired of, because you can change the flavors very easily with the dressing. You can change the cold, the hot, the vegetables, and if you wanted to theme it, even you could do like a Mexican one, a Greek one, a Chinese one, right? Like you could do that if you wanted to, but if you want to keep it simple, then just put your formula together and then you're good to go. So does that give you guys something new to try and to use? So good. Awesome. That's the point. The point is that you have something new, so you're not bored and stuck with what you're doing.
Could you say a little bit more about how would you make it a theme like Mexican or Italian? Like what spices would you use? What sauces would you use?
Brenda, I love it. Yes. So what I would do with Mexican, right, is kind of do a breakdown of a fajita or even a taco, right? So what you could do in this bowl, you could do some Spanish rice. You could do some either taco meat, right? If you did a taco night, you could do taco meat. You could do chicken fajita meat with the fajita spices. This is awesome because your peppers, if you do fajitas, you can just mix them in there with the fajita spices for your peppers. And then on top, you would do like a salsa or a hot sauce. Guacamole.
Yep.
You could do a side of guacamole and then add some salsa to that, and even sour cream, right? Or if you like, so for what I do, sour cream and Greek yogurt are my substitutes. So I don't use sour cream, I use Greek yogurt. And PS, I don't tell my family, I take it out of the Greek yogurt thing in a bowl on the table, and they don't know. Just saying. So there's that. So that could be a Mexican themed bowl. And if you really wanted to get fancy, you could break apart some taco shells and put them on the side, right? And then do like a really pretty presentation. And your family thinks you're amazing, but all you did was break apart taco shells. So that could be for Mexico. For Italy, you could use kind of what Kelly does with her, like the tomatoes and the mozzarella and the basil. You could use, so whatever you wanted to do for your grains, you could do that. And then what I would do is the cherry tomatoes and mozzarella, put that on the side. And then whatever your meat is. So, I mean, you could do pepperoni, you could do prosciutto, you could do chicken, sliced chicken, you could do lentils, anything there. And then fresh basil, that would be sprinkled on top, and instead of sprouts, I would sprinkle fresh basil. That one would definitely be a balsamic dressing on top of it. Yeah. That's a good one.
I bet you could even use some sort of sausage that's sort of healthy.
Yeah.
Turkey based or
chicken,
Right.
chicken sausage. I mean, Impossible Meats makes a sausage, right? So you could certainly do anything. You could even like shrimp, even you could add shrimp to that. That would be a nice.
Ooh,
Oh, you know what I forgot to mention? Oh my God, now I'm so hungry. Salmon.
yeah.
Salmon on any of these bowls as the protein. If you have leftover salmon or even the smoked salmon, like sometimes you can buy the smoked salmon in the packages. Smoked salmon is so good. So you could add that as well.
Okay, so hold on. Salmon. So
Salmon.
I struggle with this, like little simple things again, but the smoked salmon, the packages is okay.
Yeah.
I thought they weren't that good.
Well, okay, so here's what are your goals, right? If you're eating salmon every day from a package, I'm going to say no, right? Because the sodium is going to be high and they do use, probably nitrates in there. But if it's once in a while, it's okay.
And do you do the canned salmon?
I will, yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And you just leave it as chunks in, like you would put it as the chunks.
Yeah.
With some lemon and olive oil, or just,
Mm.
That's good. Yeah. That's good.
I thought I had the salmon in the can once and I don't know what I did, but I didn't like it. I don't know why, but that could be
Yeah.
me. I do have to try again.
You could mix some mayo with it to make it like a little bit creamy, or avocado. If you had a really ripe avocado, you could mix some avocado with it to make it creamy. With that.
What do you do with so do you do that at this time of year instead of buying? Because I don't know what to do with this farm raised and this wild business. And I find that I stay away from fish, which creates a problem because then my children are away from it. And now we don't like fish anymore and
Yeah.
create
I
my
mean,
own.
So I also too, I watched a documentary and I went way left wing and I was like, that's it. We're not eating fish anymore. But then I found myself craving salmon. Like I crave sometimes that fish. So, I mean, again, right. If you're eating it every single, you just have to remember what are your goals? Are your goals to eat it maybe once a week? Okay, fine. And what is it that you want your family to benefit from it? It's different if you're eating it every single day. The quality is better if it is wild rather than farm raised.
Right.
So it's the same with meat that we eat, the chicken and the beef and all of those things too, right? Grass fed is obviously better because we know what's kind of in their diet. So just kind of steer
I
with
get
that.
stuck a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I try. Now I don't want to go off track, but so you do the salmon, you'll do the can at this time.
Yep.
You'll maybe get some salmon, even if it's farm here and there.
Yep.
The smoked
Marcia,
packages. Yeah.
You
yeah.
can go on the internet and there's a company out of the Pacific Northwest that will ship you really good quality salmon. And my mom had purchased that and it's delicious and
Yeah.
you feel good about it because of where it is. So
Right.
I think you have options with, where is it from? Where is it being canned?
Do you guys do that? So you do that then? You do that?
Yeah.
too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely have more options now than we did 10 years ago because people are becoming more aware of it and there are companies out there. So just watch your protein. Protein is what's going to keep you full too.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you are pairing some kind of protein.
Thanks, Brenda.
Whatever meal you're making, you want to have some kind of protein in there, whether it be salad, Buddha bowl, breakfast, whatever that looks like. With that, so
Thank you,
yeah.
Christy.
Oh, you're welcome.
I always have to add these little things in that I get stuck on, so I have to say it out loud. Thank you.
But you're not alone, right? My philosophy is if there's one person that's asking it, there's probably a couple people that have that same question too. So it's okay. And that's what it's a safe space. We're here to, to ask questions. And again, we over complicate things in our head 9 times out of 10. So that's why I wanted just to kind of like break everything down so that it kind of is in a simpler simpler fashion for you.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So that is what I do. I overcomplicate things.
Mhm.
So if you're going to go meal plan for this and your goal is to do some bowls, would you do the formula and just start there and break it down and then plan for like a couple days? Like how would you?
Yeah. So what I would do is I would, first of all, like if that's what you want in your, in your week and that's what you're planning for, plan for it. But before you go to the store, look to see what you have at home already. Right? Because you could probably, that's why I'm saying like today, you probably could go into your kitchen and you could make at least one Buddha bowl with things that you have in your fridge, at least one, right? Then what you will do, and again, you're not going to have the same variety as with one person as I had today, because I'm doing this for a different reason, but you pick one thing, maybe have two different vegetables. So you can swap them out so it's not the same, because people don't like to eat the same thing every single day. Maybe swap out. And then the other thing that you could also take into consideration is, okay, what are my dinners going to look like this week? And can I make the bowl minus the protein for right now? And then on Tuesday night, I'm going to use the shredded chicken that I made in the crock pot, and I'm going to add that to my bowl.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because
Does that-
sometimes I like go away to like, I'm trying to make a meal for like, I do that every time and I know better. It just keeps, I'm like, no.
Yeah. So just keep it very simple. And those are things that we're going to be talking about in January in the 6-week program, is just really how to streamline everything and bring it down. So it will be something that is like easy for you to do.
Yeah, my wallet will thank you.
Yeah. Well, not only your wallet, your brain, right? Because it's like the amount of time that we spend thinking about the meals are unnecessary, really, if we really just kind of like, okay, this is what I need, right? So that's the idea behind that. So yeah, so just, you can formulate what you have, and then also to take, okay, I can use this from this meal and I'll add it on Wednesday's lunch because I'm going to have it on Tuesday. So that way your bowl is a little bit different. Yeah. I love that question. Thank you.
I love the idea of using leftovers, because we had some taco mix that was in the fridge and it didn't get eaten and it didn't get eaten. And if I had this idea, I could have, put that all together. So for my Mexican theme.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah.
And the idea too is, so like if I would make this for my 8-year-old, she would look at me like I had 10 heads and like, Mom, like even if my other one, right, like really, but if it's all separate for her on the plate, that's okay. So for her Buddha bowl would be, I would call it a deconstructed Buddha bowl, right? And I would put everything separate. My husband's and I, though, I could put together like either of these and warm them up, and that makes sense. So also too, you have to think about your family members and what are they going to turn their nose up at and what are they going to be open to. But the idea is that you are, whether it's leftovers or whether it's another night, right? You're all sitting down eating the same thing. So just like with the little one, Brenda, like you're modeling to them, they're seeing it. That's the important piece too. So it's different, but it's the same, and everybody's eating the same thing.
And the children little plates that have the little 3 dividers make that a perfect option. So you don't have to do a bowl. You can do that little children's separated dish, which I think for our household, that will work.
My 23-year-old still uses her separated dish. Can I just say that? So it works. That's a whole other issue, but so how does that was that helpful for everybody? Something new this week to try? Good. Awesome, awesome. So before we go, two things. One, I just want to mention the 6-week program for January. There's already a couple people registered, and I am so excited because basically what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be breaking down things like this to get you set up in the kitchen so that you don't overthink and that you don't have any questions about it. So if this was helpful for you today, it's going to be magnified in January, and we're going to start the first week of January so that those New Year's resolutions that you guys are already thinking about, we are going to tackle them, and we are going to make sure that you have the resources and the tools that you need to be able to complete them. So any questions, let me know, but I am thrilled to do this with you guys for the 6 weeks, for those that are in there. The other thing is, can I take a picture of you lovely ladies? It's okay. You can do like, it's gonna be far away, but I just, yeah, there you go. There you go. Just because to share, and yeah, just because this was advertised. So if you guys are okay with that, I'll count to 3 and then you can do like a Julia fix your pony. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me stop recording. We don't need to record this part of it here.